The galaxy was vast and filled with countless civilizations, many older and wiser than humanity. Among them, the Aurelians were known for their intelligence, their advanced technology, and their careful observation of other species. They watched worlds for centuries, studying the rise and fall of societies, but they rarely intervened. To them, time was long and patience was a virtue. Yet even the Aurelians had moments of curiosity, and sometimes the smallest spark could catch their attention. It all began with a request. The Aurelians' monitors detected an unusual transmission coming from a blue planet, orbiting a medium-sized star in a quiet corner of the Milky Way. The message was simple, polite, and remarkably direct. Humanity wished to explore and help stabilize a distant, untamed world. No demands, no threats, just a request to travel, learn, and aid. The Aurelians had seen many requests from younger civilizations. Most were reckless or self-serving, filled with ambition and pride. Yet something about the humans' message stood out. It did not boast of conquest or technology. Instead, it spoke of curiosity, empathy, and cooperation. That alone made it worth considering. On the main observation hub of the Aurelians, the council gathered. They were a mix of beings, each shaped by different worlds, yet all shared the same fascination with intelligence. Their eyes glowed softly, and their thoughts seemed to move faster than sound. The council debated the request, their voices low and precise. Humans are primitive, said one, its form resembling a flowing column of light. They lack the knowledge to manage complex systems. Sending them could be dangerous even to themselves. Another, with skin that shimmered like liquid crystal, responded, "Yet their approach is different. It is hopeful. There is creativity here we have not measured. Perhaps this is worth observation." After hours of discussion, the decision was made. A small team of humans would be transported to the planet in question. The Aurelians expected little. At most, they thought the humans would survive or fail, leaving the planet unchanged. The humans themselves were unaware of the debate. They had spent years preparing for the journey, building tools, studying the principles of ecosystems, and learning to work together. Each of them carried a passion for discovery, a desire to make a difference, and a willingness to face the unknown. Their excitement was tempered by nerves, but their courage outweighed their fear. When the human team arrived on the new planet, the first thing they noticed was its raw beauty. Rolling plains stretched toward jagged mountains, rivers cut silver lines across the land, and strange, unfamiliar vegetation swayed gently in the wind. The air was thin but breathable, and the sun cast a golden hue that made everything sparkle. It was untouched, unclaimed, and full of possibilities. The humans set up a small base using lightweight materials that could blend with the environment. They worked together seamlessly, each person contributing their skills. Some built shelters and energy systems, while others studied the land, the soil, and the water. They moved slowly, deliberately, respecting the natural balance they found. From orbit, the Aurelians observed, curious to see how these fragile beings would fare. They expected mistakes, conflicts, and perhaps failure, but what they did not expect was the humans' ability to adapt. Within days, small changes began to appear. Seeds planted in seemingly barren soil sprouted. Streams cleared naturally after minor adjustments, and local wildlife began to interact with the humans cautiously, as if sensing their intentions were not harmful. The humans celebrated small victories, sharing smiles and laughter. They did not see themselves as conquerors or masters. They were visitors, eager to learn and to nurture. One scientist named Ilara commented on the simplicity of their success. "It is not strength or technology that makes a difference," she said, "but patience, observation, and care. Nature responds to respect." Meanwhile, one Aurelian observer, curious beyond protocol, began to take detailed notes. "Humans are unpredictable," it recorded. "Their methods are unrefined yet effective. The impact is greater than anticipated. Even the smallest human actions had effects. A cleared stream allowed fish to return, which in turn supported birds that had been scarce. A patch of soil enriched with compost encouraged new plants to grow, and insects followed naturally, creating a web of life that was self-sustaining. The Aurelians, who had long relied on precision and algorithms, found it difficult to quantify what they were witnessing. Days turned into weeks, and the humans continued their work. They faced challenges, of course. Some plants failed, Storms washed away parts of their base, and strange creatures sometimes threatened their progress. Yet they adapted, learning from failure and working together to find solutions. Their resilience was remarkable. Each obstacle became a lesson, each failure an opportunity to improve. One evening, under a sky filled with unfamiliar constellations, the humans gathered around a small fire. They spoke quietly about the planet and their mission. "This is more than we imagined," said a young engineer named Orion. "It's alive in ways we didn't expect. Every step we take seems to make a difference." A botanist, Lena, nodded. "It's teaching us, too. We are learning how to live with it, not against it. That is what makes this work meaningful." Far above, the Aurelians observed silently, astonished by the humans' ability to create harmony. They had sent these beings to the planet expecting minimal impact, yet the humans were changing it in subtle, profound ways. The council convened again, this time in awe rather than skepticism. "They are young," one Aurelian said softly, "yet even the smallest gestures are producing effects we did not predict. Perhaps they are more capable than we imagined." The humans did not notice the eyes watching them. They continued to explore, build, and nurture, guided by curiosity and compassion rather than rules or fear. Each day brought discoveries, new plant species, signs of ancient water systems, and hints that life had struggled and adapted long before humans arrived. Yet despite the complexity, the humans found ways to integrate, to restore, and to thrive. It was a slow process, one step at a time. And yet the planet itself seemed to respond. Rivers flowed clearer, the soil became richer, and plants grew stronger. Even animals that had been shy began to approach cautiously, accepting the humans as part of the environment. It was a silent transformation, a gentle dance between species. As the first part of their mission drew to a close, the humans looked back at the areas they had touched. They saw not just progress, but potential, a sense that this planet could become something more, a living example of balance and collaboration. And somewhere far above, the Aurelians watched, realizing that this favor they had granted, sending humans to a distant world, was turning out to be more significant than they had ever imagined. The humans were small, fragile, and untested by galactic standards. Yet their hearts, minds, and determination were beginning to show that intelligence alone was not the measure of a species. Action guided by care, respect, and ingenuity could shape entire worlds. In that moment, the Aurelians understood a truth they had rarely acknowledged. Sometimes, the youngest civilizations hold the power to teach even the oldest. The humans slept that night under alien stars, unaware of the awe they inspired. Tomorrow would bring more work, more discoveries, and new challenges. But for now they rested, dreaming of what could be, unaware that the smallest steps they took today were already beginning to change the fate of an entire planet. The humans had settled into their new world with quiet determination. Each morning, the golden light of the alien sun bathed the rolling plains, reflecting off sparkling rivers and casting shadows over jagged mountains. Birds they had never seen before sang in strange harmonies, while small creatures cautiously explored the humans' base. Every corner of this untouched planet seemed alive, waiting for gentle hands to guide it toward balance. Ilara, the mission's lead scientist, walked through a grove of newly sprouting trees, noting the way the sunlight filtered through the alien leaves. "The soil here is more receptive than I expected," she said to Ryan, who was inspecting a waterway nearby. "Our techniques might actually work better than we predicted." Ryan nodded, carefully adjusting a simple water filtration system he had built from local minerals and recycled materials. "It's amazing how small changes can have a big impact. Clean water isn't just about survival. It changes everything around it. Fish return, plants grow stronger, and even the soil seems to breathe differently." Indeed, that was exactly what was happening. The humans' modest efforts were already producing results. Seeds planted in previously barren soil sprouted within days. Streams that had been murky and stagnant now flowed with clarity. Tiny insects that had been scarce multiplied, pollinating plants that had struggled to survive. Even the local wildlife, which had once avoided human presence, began venturing closer, drawn by the steady rhythm of life the humans were creating. The Aurelians observed silently from orbit. Their expectations had been low, and yet the humans were exceeding them at every turn. One observer, a scholar with crystalline limbs that shimmered like liquid metal, noted, "They are unrefined yet effective, Their actions are small, but the cumulative effect is profound. We did not anticipate this level of adaptation. While the human successes were impressive, the planet was not without its challenges. One afternoon, dark clouds began to gather over the northern plains. The wind picked up, rustling through the trees and carrying with it a scent of ozone and distant rain. The humans could feel the tension in the air, a reminder that this world was untamed and unpredictable. "We need to secure the base," Ilara said, urgency in her voice. She and the others worked quickly, reinforcing shelters, securing supplies, and checking energy systems. They moved with a calm efficiency that reflected years of training and preparation, yet beneath it lay a spark of excitement. Humans often thrived in the face of challenge, finding opportunity where others saw only danger. The storm arrived with little warning. Lightning streaked across the sky, followed by sheets of heavy rain. Winds howled, bending trees and tearing at the temporary structures the humans had built. Rivers swelled, threatening to flood low-lying areas. Yet despite the chaos, the humans remained steadfast. Orion and a small team waded into the swollen streams, adjusting temporary barriers to protect the base. Lena, the botanist, worked tirelessly to secure delicate seedlings and young plants, moving them to safer locations. Ilara coordinated from the central hub, issuing instructions with clarity and precision. Through the storm, the humans' determination never wavered. They adapted on the fly, improvising solutions that no algorithm or manual could predict. The Aurelians, watching from afar, were astonished. These beings, fragile and inexperienced, were acting with intelligence, creativity, and courage that rivaled even the most advanced species in the galaxy. As the storm raged, something remarkable occurred. The humans' small interventions began to stabilize the environment around them. Water barriers slowed the rising streams without harming local wildlife. Plants that had been at risk were shielded and even began to recover faster than expected. By the next morning, the storm had passed, leaving behind a world that was bruised but still alive, and in some ways stronger than before. Exhausted but relieved, the humans gathered outside their base. The sun broke through lingering clouds, illuminating the plains in a brilliant display of light and shadow. Birds sang cautiously, insects buzzed with renewed vigor, and the stream sparkled with clarity once more. This is incredible," Lena whispered, almost to herself. "We were just trying to survive, but look at what happened. Life adapted with us. We didn't destroy, we helped. And it responded." Ryan smiled, wiping rain from his brow. "It's a reminder that even small actions can have enormous consequences. Sometimes the world just needs a little help, and humans seem to know how to give it." The Aurelians, who had been watching every moment, began to record their observations in detail. One noted, "Human resilience and creativity are not simply traits of survival. They generate transformation. Where we expected minimal change, we see a thriving network of interdependent life. Their impact is cumulative, subtle, yet profound." Days passed, and the humans continued their work with renewed energy. They repaired damaged structures, replanted areas affected by the storm, and improved water systems with careful attention to the natural flow. Each day brought new discoveries: alien plants that could purify soil, insects that aided in pollination, and underground water channels that supported life even in harsh terrain. The humans also began to learn from the planet itself. They noticed patterns in the rainfall, understood the migration of local creatures, and even began to anticipate natural cycles that governed growth and survival. This knowledge allowed them to work in harmony with the environment rather than against it. Ilara often reflected on the contrast between human methods and Aurelian expectations. The Aurelians relied on precision, on algorithms and controlled outcomes. Humans, by contrast, relied on observation, intuition, and empathy. And it worked. The planet flourished not because humans controlled it, but because they respected it and encouraged its natural processes. One evening, as the alien sun dipped below the horizon, casting the plains in shades of pink and gold, the humans gathered to discuss their progress. They spoke quietly but with excitement in their voices. "We are seeing results we didn't imagine," Ryan said. "Not because we are perfect, but because we are persistent. Every little adjustment we make has a ripple effect." Lena nodded, looking at the young saplings around their base. "It's more than that. We're learning to listen to the planet. Life is responding to care and attention. That's something no technology alone could achieve." Above them, the Aurelians watched silently, The humans' actions were creating a web of life that was self-reinforcing, growing stronger day by day. What began as small, simple efforts had grown into something remarkable. The observers realized that this was not just adaptation, it was transformation. The humans did not notice the subtle changes in the planet's behavior, but they did see the results of their work. Streams that had been stagnant now teemed with fish. Plants that had struggled to grow now reached toward the sun. Creatures that had avoided human presence now moved freely, forming patterns of life that suggested harmony rather than fear. Ilara smiled as she watched a small herd of alien animals graze near their base, unafraid and curious. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "We are only a small part of this world, yet our actions matter. That is the true wonder of being human." The Aurelians recorded the moment carefully, noting that human intelligence was not limited to knowledge or technology. It was an action guided by curiosity, compassion, and persistence. A single human could influence an entire ecosystem, not by force, but by working with life rather than against it. As night fell, the humans settled around a fire, sharing stories, laughter, and quiet reflection. The sky above was filled with stars they had never seen before, distant suns and galaxies that reminded them of the vastness of the universe. They were small, fragile, and vulnerable, yet their presence was creating a lasting change. For the Aurelians, it was a revelation. They had sent humans to this planet expecting minimal impact. Instead, they found themselves observing a species that could alter the fate of worlds through persistence, ingenuity, and care. The council members realized that humans, though young and inexperienced in the galaxy, possessed a rare quality, the ability to create transformation without domination. And so, the story of humanity on this untamed planet continued. The storm had tested them, yet it also revealed their greatest strengths. Small actions guided by respect and cooperation were creating effects far greater than anyone, human or Aurelian, had imagined. The humans slept that night with a sense of accomplishment and hope. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but they had learned that even modest efforts could shape entire ecosystems. And somewhere far above, in the silent orbit of a distant civilization, the Aurelians recorded another lesson about humanity. When humans act with care and creativity, they do not simply survive and they transform. Weeks had passed since the storm, and the humans had begun to feel at home on the alien planet. Their shelters were stronger. The planted fields had grown into flourishing gardens, and the streams they had cleared now supported a network of fish, plants, and insects. Yet the planet was far from predictable. Its wilderness, though beautiful, was alive with subtle dangers, rapid weather changes, unpredictable creatures, and terrain that could shift without warning. Ilara and her team had learned to read the land. They could sense when the soil was dry enough for planting, when water levels were changing beneath the surface, and when the wind carried a storm across the mountains. But even with careful observation, the planet could surprise them. It began one morning with a distant rumble. At first, the humans thought it was thunder, but the sound grew louder, deeper, and more ominous. The ground trembled beneath their feet, a reminder that this world was not tamed and it never would be entirely. "What is that?" Ryan asked, frowning as he scanned the horizon. "I'm not sure," Ilara replied, concern in her voice. "But we need to be ready for anything. Let's check the northern streams and make sure the base is secure." The team split up, moving quickly but carefully. Lena and another scientist worked on reinforcing young trees and delicate plants, while Ryan checked water channels and emergency barriers. Even the smallest tasks were crucial. One mistake could be catastrophic in a place where the environment itself was unpredictable. As the morning passed, the tremors became more pronounced. Rocks shifted on distant hills, and streams that had been calm began to churn. The humans realized that the rumble was not thunder at all. It was a series of minor earthquakes, each one sending vibrations through the land. Ilara gathered the team. "This is serious. We need to adapt immediately. We've dealt with storms before, but earthquakes are different. They can change the terrain, redirect water, and threaten the plants and animals we've worked so hard to help." The humans acted quickly. Ryan and Lena worked to stabilize their shelters, reinforcing the structures with materials that could absorb movement. Other team members relocated seedlings and fragile plants to safer locations, carefully stacking soil and creating temporary supports. It was exhausting work, but the humans did not complain. Each of them understood that survival alone was not enough. They were here to help the planet thrive. The earthquakes continued throughout the day, growing in intensity. Small landslides blocked streams, diverting water away from areas that needed it. Trees that had stood for decades toppled, and the team found themselves in constant motion, repairing damage and guiding wildlife to safer zones. Despite the danger, the human spirits remained strong. They communicated constantly, offering encouragement and sharing ideas for solutions. Ryan discovered a clever method to redirect a stream using lightweight barriers made of local materials. Lena experimented with combining soil from different areas to create stronger, more resilient planting beds. Every obstacle became an opportunity for creativity. As night approached, the tremors subsided, leaving behind a landscape that had changed dramatically in just a single day. The humans were exhausted, their muscles aching, yet they gathered together to assess the results. "We've lost some plants and a few structures," Alara said, her voice calm but firm. "But look at the streams. The fish are still moving, the soil is still alive, and the wildlife adapted. We did what we could and it worked." Ryan smiled wearily. "It's proof that even when the world pushes back, humans can adapt. We might be small, but we are resourceful. We find ways to turn challenges into opportunities." The Aurelians, observing silently from orbit, were captivated. They had seen many species struggle with natural disasters, and most had failed. Humans, by contrast, not only survived but improved the ecosystem despite the upheaval. Their methods were unpredictable but effective. The aliens noted that humans seemed to respond to chaos with ingenuity, turning potential disasters into constructive change. The next morning brought new surprises. In the aftermath of the earthquakes, the humans discovered signs of an underground water network that had been blocked for centuries. The disturbance had revealed hidden channels, caverns filled with water and fertile soil previously inaccessible. "This is incredible," Lena said, exploring one of the caverns. "The earthquakes, as dangerous as they were, also created an opportunity. We can guide this water into the streams above and enrich areas that were barren before." Alara nodded. "We have to be careful, though. Any miscalculation could flood habitats or harm wildlife. But if we do it right, we could accelerate recovery in ways we didn't imagine." Over the following days, the team worked tirelessly. They constructed channels to guide water safely, using natural slopes and rocks to prevent erosion. They planted fast-growing vegetation to stabilize soil, encouraged animal movement to ensure pollination, and monitored the changes carefully. Slowly, the planet began to respond. The rivers swelled slightly, feeding the barren plains and nurturing young forests. Plants that had struggled began to thrive. Wildlife returned to areas that had been deserted, and the overall ecosystem gained strength. The humans' persistence and careful planning were creating a ripple effect, improving the planet in a way that was both subtle and profound. For the Aurelians, this was a revelation. They had long believed that advanced technology and knowledge were the keys to controlling or improving a world. Yet humans, with their simple tools, cooperation, and empathy, were achieving results far beyond expectations. The aliens realized that it was not intelligence alone, but adaptability, creativity, and care that allowed humans to shape entire ecosystems. One of the younger humans, a biologist named Mira, reflected on their efforts as she watched a group of alien birds feed on newly sprouted seeds. "It's amazing," she said softly. "We didn't dominate this planet. We didn't try to control it. We just worked with it and life responded. That's what makes it feel alive in a way I've never experienced before." Alara smiled. "That's the essence of our mission. We are not conquerors. We are participants. When we act with respect and understanding, even small actions can create incredible change." Despite their successes, the humans remained vigilant. They knew the planet could throw new challenges at any time, droughts, storms, or other unexpected events. Yet they faced these uncertainties with confidence, relying on teamwork, observation, and ingenuity to guide them through. Each day brought lessons, and each lesson strengthened their resolve. One afternoon, the team noticed a strange pattern in the movement of local creatures. Groups of animals were migrating in ways they had never seen before, avoiding certain areas and concentrating in others. Lena studied the patterns carefully. "It's almost as if the earthquakes changed the way life interacts with the land. They are adapting to new conditions, and we need to guide them gently, not force them." Ryan nodded. "We can create small safe zones, adjust water flow, and plant vegetation in critical areas. If we do this carefully, the ecosystem can stabilize faster than we imagined. Over time, the humans' subtle interventions began to show remarkable effects. The newly discovered underground water channels enriched soil across vast plains. Plants grew taller and stronger, attracting insects that helped pollinate other species. Wildlife adapted to new feeding and migration patterns, creating a more balanced and thriving ecosystem. The Aurelians, witnessing these transformations, could no longer deny the humans' impact. They had underestimated the species' ability to respond to complex chaotic systems. Where the aliens would have imposed rigid control or used powerful technology, humans used patience, observation, and care, and achieved results that were both sustainable and profound. As night fell, the humans gathered around a small fire. They were tired, but their hearts were full. They had faced one of the planet's greatest challenges yet, and had not only survived but improved the world around them. Alara looked at her team and said, "This is just the beginning. The planet is alive and we are part of it. Every choice we make has consequences and we are learning to make them wisely. That is the true power of humans." Above them, the Aurelians observed quietly, recording data and marveling at what they saw. They had given these humans a chance, expecting little. Instead, they had witnessed creativity, courage, and care at work. The humans were not just surviving, they were transforming an entire world, demonstrating qualities that even the most advanced civilizations sometimes lacked, and so, the humans continued their mission, aware that challenges would come again, but confident that their ingenuity and perseverance could overcome anything. They had faced earthquakes, storms, and unpredictable terrain, yet every obstacle only revealed their greatest strengths: creativity, resilience, and the ability to inspire life to flourish around them. The planet was changing, and so were the humans. Each day strengthened their bond with the world and with one another. They were no longer mere visitors. They were participants in a vast living system, and their actions were beginning to shape not only the planet, but the future of life itself. For the Aurelians, the lesson was clear. Humans, though young and inexperienced in the galaxy, possessed a rare and remarkable ability to create positive change, not through domination, not through technology alone, but through persistence, creativity, and the weeks that followed the earthquakes were some of the most productive and revealing for the humans. They had learned to anticipate the planet's rhythms, to read the subtle signs of change, and to adapt quickly to new challenges. Yet even as their confidence grew, the planet continued to remind them of its untamed nature. One morning, a deep tremor shook the land, unlike anything they had experienced before. Trees swayed violently and the sky darkened with fast-moving clouds. But this time, the humans noticed something unusual: a series of glowing fissures spreading across the plains, emitting faint pulses of light. It was a natural phenomenon unlike any they had seen, and they knew that how they responded would determine the fate of the region. Ilara studied the fissures carefully. "These are geothermal vents," she said. "The planet is releasing energy we haven't measured before. If we are not careful, it could destroy the streams, forests, and wildlife we have nurtured. But if we guide it correctly, it could rejuvenate the land in ways we never imagined." Ryan's eyes sparkled with determination. "Then let's guide it. We've faced storms, floods, and earthquakes. This is just another challenge and another chance to help life flourish." The humans worked tirelessly. They built channels and barriers from natural materials to direct the flow of energy safely across the plains. They planted hardy vegetation along the edges to stabilize the soil and prevent erosion. Each decision was made with care, considering the delicate balance between safety and opportunity. Lena observed the animals' behavior closely. "They are curious, not afraid," she noted. "They seem to sense that we are working with the land, not against it. That gives us a unique advantage." Indeed, the wildlife responded in remarkable ways. Herds moved into areas protected by the humans' channels. Insects pollinated new growth faster than expected, and even predatory creatures avoided the zones of human intervention, allowing smaller species to thrive. It was a dance between humans and nature, each step carefully considered, each movement guided by observation and understanding. The Aurelians, watching silently from orbit, were astonished. They had observed countless civilizations across the galaxy, many far older and more technologically advanced than humans. Yet none had demonstrated such an intuitive understanding of a planet's life systems. The humans' approach was neither forceful nor mechanical. It was thoughtful, adaptive, and deeply respectful. One Aurelian scholar whispered to a colleague, "They do not seek to control. They seek to harmonize. Their small actions create a network of change that spreads naturally. It is unlike anything we have ever seen." The fissures continued to glow, releasing heat and energy in unpredictable bursts. The humans faced moments of fear and uncertainty, but they relied on teamwork, quick thinking, and trust in each other. Where one faltered, another found a solution. Where obstacles appeared insurmountable, creativity opened new paths. By the end of the day, the glowing fissures had transformed from a dangerous threat into a source of life. The humans' careful guidance allowed the energy to enrich the soil, invigorate water streams, and stimulate plant growth across vast areas. Seeds that had lain dormant for years sprouted, new forests began to take shape, and animals discovered fresh sources of food and shelter. The humans gathered to watch the transformation. "It's incredible," Lena said softly, her eyes reflecting the glow of rejuvenated forests. "This energy could have destroyed everything, but instead, look at it, life is stronger than before." Alara smiled. "It's a reminder that challenges are opportunities in disguise. By understanding, observing, and acting carefully, we can turn danger into growth. That's what makes humans different. We don't just react. We adapt, we improve, and we create possibilities." Over the following days, the humans continued their work, expanding their efforts to other regions affected by the fissures. They studied the flow of energy, planted resilient vegetation, and guided water systems to ensure stability. Everywhere they touched, life responded positively. Rian, observing a rapidly growing forest, said with quiet awe, "We are not controlling this world. We are helping it heal itself, and it's teaching us how to work with it rather than against it." The Aurelians recorded every detail. The humans' actions were producing changes on a scale the aliens had not expected. Where advanced technology could alter a planet temporarily, humans were creating sustainable transformation that allowed life to thrive long after they moved on. Their impact was not measured in structures or machines, but in living systems that flourished under their guidance. One evening, as the alien sun set in brilliant shades of orange and pink, the humans gathered to reflect. They had faced storms, earthquakes, and the planet's raw geothermal energy, yet each time they adapted and turned potential disaster into progress. Their bond with the land had grown stronger, and the team felt a sense of purpose unlike anything they had known before. Alara looked at her team, proud but humble. "We came here to help a planet survive. What we are seeing now is more than survival. It is transformation. And it is happening because we worked together, observed carefully, and acted with care. That is the essence of humanity." Mira, the biologist, added, "It's not just the plants or the animals. It's the whole ecosystem responding to our presence. We are part of something bigger, and yet every small choice matters." The Aurelians, silent witnesses to this unfolding miracle, began to reconsider their understanding of humans. They had expected a fragile species, perhaps capable of minor changes but nothing so profound. Now they saw that humans possessed a rare ability to influence an entire ecosystem not through dominance, but through collaboration, empathy, and ingenuity. One senior Aurelian whispered to another, "We gave them a world expecting little. Yet they are not merely surviving. They are transforming it. Perhaps we underestimated the power of a species guided by heart and mind in equal measure." Days turned into weeks, and the humans' influence continued to spread. They carefully introduced small technologies designed to harmonize with the environment. Water filtration systems powered by natural currents, solar panels that integrated with tree canopies, and shelters that could expand or contract as needed. Each innovation worked with the land, enhancing life without disrupting it. Wildlife began to thrive like never before. Predators and prey formed natural balances. Rivers and streams teemed with fish, and forests grew dense and vibrant. The humans' interventions were subtle but cumulative, creating a ripple effect that extended far beyond their base. One afternoon, Lena discovered a previously hidden grove filled with rare alien plants capable of restoring degraded soil. "If we can nurture these, the surrounding plains could flourish," she said. "It's like the planet is giving us tools to help it heal itself." Alara nodded. "Exactly. We are facilitators, not rulers. We guide, support, and respect. That is why our presence matters. and why life responds. By the end of this phase, the humans had achieved something extraordinary. What began as a small mission to explore and assist had evolved into a living demonstration of human ingenuity and care. The planet itself had transformed. Rivers flowed freely, forests expanded, wildlife thrived, and the soil regained fertility across vast regions. The Aurelians, once skeptical, now watched in awe. They recorded their observations carefully, realizing that humans were not merely capable of survival or minor influence. They were capable of creating lasting, positive change on a planetary scale. Where other species might dominate, destroy, or stagnate, humans adapted, observed, and improved. As night fell, the humans sat under alien stars, reflecting on their journey. They had faced natural disasters, unknown terrain, and unpredictable wildlife. Yet through it all, they had not only survived but had transformed an entire world. Their bond with the planet and with each other had grown stronger, and the sense of accomplishment was profound. Ilara looked around at her team, her heart full. This is more than science or survival. This is life, and we have learned that even the smallest actions, when guided by care, can have enormous effects. That is the power of humanity. Above them, the Aurelians observed quietly, understanding the lesson that humans had demonstrated. Intelligence alone does not create change. Empathy, creativity, persistence, and collaboration do. And in this moment, they realized that humanity, though still young in the galactic timeline, had a power unlike any other species. The ability to transform entire worlds simply by acting with care and ingenuity. The humans slept that night with the satisfaction of their achievements, unaware of the awe they had inspired in an entire advanced civilization. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities, new challenges, and new discoveries. But for now, the planet thrived, and humanity had proven itself not just as explorers but as catalysts for life itself. The days that followed the humans' greatest transformation were calm, but full of quiet activity. The alien planet had become a thriving ecosystem, alive with rivers, forests, and wildlife that moved in harmony with one another. What had once been untamed and unpredictable was now flourishing under the subtle guidance of humans who had learned to observe, adapt, and work with nature instead of against it. Ilara stood at the edge of a vibrant plain, watching the stream sparkle in the sunlight. Birds she had never seen before sang melodies that seemed to celebrate life itself, while insects buzzed through fields of colorful flowers, spreading pollen and encouraging growth. It was a scene of harmony, a testament to what could happen when careful action met persistence and empathy. "We've done more than we imagined," Ryan said, standing beside her. He looked at the thriving ecosystem, his eyes reflecting pride and wonder. The planet isn't just surviving, it's alive in a way it never was before, and we helped it reach that point. Lena, crouched near a small grove of alien trees, added, "It's amazing how life responds to care. Even the smallest actions, planting seeds, directing streams, protecting wildlife, have had enormous effects. The planet remembers what we've done." The team continued their work, not because it was required, but because they understood the responsibility of being part of something bigger. They planted additional trees to expand forests, constructed gentle barriers to guide streams, and created spaces where wildlife could thrive without interference. Every effort was small on its own, yet together they shaped a flourishing world. The Aurelians observed all of this with growing admiration. From their vantage point in orbit, they saw the transformation unfold, and it challenged everything they believed about human potential. They had expected a fragile, inexperienced species with little ability to affect a planet. Instead, they witnessed a species that could bring balance, healing, and life to a world that had been chaotic and uncertain. One Aurelian scholar whispered to another, "We sent them with hesitation, expecting little. Yet they have done what we could not. They have harmonized life, created sustainable growth, and changed the fate of a planet through persistence and ingenuity." "What is remarkable," the second replied, "is that they have done this without domination. They did not impose control or destruction. They adapted, observed, and acted with care. That is the true power of humanity." The humans themselves were unaware of how much they had inspired the alien observers. They focused on the planet, its needs, and their mission, guided by curiosity, empathy, and the determination to help life flourish. Even when they encountered unexpected challenges, They found solutions through cooperation and creativity rather than force. One afternoon, Mira noticed that some regions of the planet, previously barren, were beginning to bloom with life naturally. "The changes are spreading on their own," she said in amazement. "The plants we nurtured are producing seeds. The rivers are carrying nutrients farther, and wildlife is exploring new areas. It's like the planet itself is continuing our work." Alara smiled, watching the movement of animals and the growth of vegetation. "That's the goal. We are here to help, but life has its own intelligence. Our job is to guide, not control. And when we do that, incredible things happen." As the humans prepared for the next stage of their journey, they began documenting their methods, observations, and discoveries. They hoped that future generations on this planet or elsewhere could learn from their experiences. Each note, diagram, and observation was a record of cooperation between humans and a living world, testament to what could be achieved when knowledge and care work together. Even the young members of the team understood the significance of their work. They walked among the forests, observed the streams, and tracked wildlife, feeling a connection to life that went beyond simple exploration. Each step they took had meaning. Each action contributed to a larger purpose, and each choice had the potential to create lasting effects. Alara called the team together one evening, as the sun dipped below alien mountains, painting the sky in colors they had never seen before. "We came here to explore, to help, and to learn," she said. "And in doing so, we have learned the true power of humanity. It is not strength alone or technology or speed. It is the ability to observe, to adapt, to care, and to work together. That is what changes worlds," Ryan added. "And it's contagious. Life responds to it. The rivers, the forests, the animals, they all flourish when we act with respect. We didn't just survive here. We helped this world grow stronger, and it will continue to thrive long after we leave." The humans' accomplishments were not limited to the environment. Their teamwork, creativity, and compassion had forged bonds that went beyond professional collaboration. They understood each other, supported one another, and celebrated every small victory together. It was this unity, combined with their care for the planet, that allowed them to achieve so much. From orbit, the Aurelians noted these qualities with growing admiration. They had long assumed that intelligence alone defined a civilization's value. Humans had shown them something different. Intelligence guided by empathy, creativity, and cooperation could accomplish far more than technology or force ever could. One senior Aurelian reflected, "They are still young in the galaxy, inexperienced and fragile, yet they have the power to transform life, to inspire growth, and to bring harmony to worlds. They are unlike any species we have observed before." As the humans prepared to depart, they conducted a final survey of the areas they had influenced. Forests stretched across plains that had been barren months before. Rivers flowed clearly, teeming with fish and feeding thriving wetlands. Wildlife moved freely, forming complex ecosystems that were self-sustaining. The humans had not created life. They had guided it, nurtured it, and allowed it to flourish. Alara looked at her team one last time. "This is not the end of our journey. It is a beginning. The lessons we've learned here will stay with us, and the impact we've made will continue to grow. We have seen what humans are capable of when we act with care, ingenuity, and persistence. That is a legacy worth leaving." The team activated their transport device, preparing to return to Earth. As they ascended into the sky, they looked down at the planet, marveling at the transformation they had helped create. It was alive, thriving, and beautiful, a living testament to their efforts. In orbit, the Aurelians observed the departure with a newfound respect. They had granted humans a simple opportunity, expecting minimal impact. Instead, they had witnessed a species capable of shaping entire worlds through thoughtfulness, creativity, and empathy. They realized that humans were not just a young civilization. They were a force of change, one that could inspire, heal, and transform wherever they went. "Perhaps," one Aurelian said quietly, "humanity is the example we have been waiting for. They remind us that true progress is not only knowledge, but care, collaboration, and the courage to act with heart as well as mind." The humans traveled back to Earth, unaware of the profound impression they had left on an advanced civilization far across the stars. They returned as explorers, scientists, and adventurers, but the planet they had helped would continue to flourish as a living example of human ingenuity and compassion. Back on Earth, the humans shared their experiences, documenting discoveries and lessons for future generations. Their story became inspiration for others, a reminder that even small actions, when guided by empathy and creativity, could produce enormous lasting effects. The Aurelians, too, carried the lesson forward. They began to observe humans not as primitive beings but as catalysts for positive change, capable of teaching even advanced civilizations about balance, care, and sustainable growth. Across the galaxy, whispers of this young species began to spread. The humans who could transform worlds not with power, but with ingenuity and heart. And so, the legacy of humanity continued. One small mission to a distant planet had proven a profound truth. When humans act with curiosity, persistence, and care, they do not merely survive, they change entire worlds. The story ended not with finality, but with potential. The humans had shown that intelligence guided by empathy could create beauty, harmony, and life wherever it touched. And in doing so, they had inspired not only the planet they saved but the eyes of an entire advanced civilization, proving that the true power of humanity lay not in domination, but in transformation. As Earth's blue sun rose over familiar landscapes, the human team looked forward, carrying with them lessons from a distant world, a reminder that the capacity to improve, heal, and inspire was not limited to one planet, one species, or one moment. It was the essence of what it meant to be human.